So, Pauline, we're going to start today really with some of your memories of growing up in Waterford. What kind of things do you still remember?
Yes, well, I remember we had so little when we were young, but we were always very happy and we enjoyed ourselves. And everybody was contented and we didn't know any better. And we just got a penny a week to spend. And my father, he had a big family and my mother died so young. And he was a good father and a great grandmother who looked after us. And that was our third family she reared. She was a wonderful woman. But we had so little, but we were always so happy. And we had to make our own enjoyment, nooks and skipping and everything.
Right. Would you tell us a bit about that? What were the knocks and the skipping?
It was little stones and you throw them up in the air and you catch them with your fingers and you'd work around on it.
Yeah.
And it was enjoyable, and skipping the rope, and we put marks on the path and we skip up and down.
Right.
So everything was simple in life. And, we'd look forward to going to the procession, the May processions. And Daddy Curtis came in there. He put out the weather forecast in the window for us.
Right.
He had a way of knowing it. And we'd go by whether we'd be able to go or not to Ballybricken to the procession and walk around and crown Our Lady.
And where would the procession
was all
go?
very happy. And the street I lived in was a great street, short course. The people were great neighbours, and your troubles were their troubles. And we all shared. And it was a very busy street. They all helped each other, and every house done something. A lot of them kept pigs as pin money, reared them as little bunnies and sent them out as big pigs into the market. And Waterford had a lot of factories. And everybody kind of shared their troubles with each other. So that was it.
Yeah. And on your street they had an abattoir, you said, and they also had Swift's furniture shop.
Malays, butchers, the butchers, the Malays. Their ancestors now be like the young generation of Malays. And they had an abattoir up in a place called Sheep's Lane. And the sheep used to go up there and they'd be killed there behind. And it's strange how we never got anything. We were always very healthy. We had a great immunity to sickness,
Yes.
We would clean the tripe with the larkins.
Yeah, and how did you do that?
Oh, it was very hard work. It come in the belly of the sheep, and that had to be all cleaned out, to be dirty, and to be boiled, and there's different parts of it. There was the book, which consists of a book really. You turn the pages as we used to call it, and scrape the dirt off and wash it and to be boiled. And it be boiled a few times, and then when to be done, we go in and have a big feed of it with milk and onions.
Lovely.
And the dressings then were made with the gut and blood and milk and herbs.
Right.
Now, Cork people claim they make the best dressings, but no way could they compare with Waterford in flavour.
I know.
And
how did you cook that?
they mostly boil it or fry it,
Right.
but it's actually cooked because the blood and the milk is boiled and is filled up into the guts, cleaned out, and that kind of forms the skin. And it's kind of boiled, it's like a pudding, really.
Right.
When
Yes.
you could eat it raw,
Yes.
as we'd call it, wouldn't be raw because it's already boiled.
Yes.
But it was beautiful.
Lovely.
And I safely say it used to be queues up for the tribe. And anybody in Waterford would always remember the tribe, the Larkins and the Ryans and the Moonies, 3 families running
Yeah.
up in the street that used to do that.
And
they
would that
said-
be the Larkins butchers now that's down around from Penny's there? Would they be part?
Would be relations of
them?
theirs, yeah. That
Yeah.
had been a brother of Mrs. Larkin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But they were great times.
Yeah. And what about the furniture store, Swift's?
The furniture,
Yeah, Swift's.
Oh, Swift's
factory.
Oh, yes, they opened up in a yard next door to us in Sharkers. It was people by the name of Gilmartins. They'd have been 28 Sharkers. We were 29. And next door was another. My father was Tommy Ryan, and next door was another Tommy Ryan. And my other grandparents, my grandparents lived in number 30.
Right.
No, 31. Ryan, we were 29. The Martins, that's where Swift's was.
Yeah.
And they were renowned for their furniture, made beautiful furniture.
Yeah.
And very
So it
high
was
class.
called Gilmartins then, was it?
It was Gilmartins. I don't think it. I think when I don't know did they call it after Swift's took it over.
Yeah.
Swift's factory.
They took it over.
But Gilmartins was the people there.
Yeah.
They kind of had a yard there. I think they used to sell coal at one time there.
Right. Yeah.
And all up the street, like they were all. Then there was a lot of laneways. Buttermilk Lane.
All of
There was a
them.
lady down there used to do butter, make buttermilk. We used to drink that.
Yeah.
No wonder we're
That's why you're so healthy.
We're all
Yeah.
good livers. So most of that, one of the Larkins now is Pauline. She's in Wales. She's gone 90, and my sister is 91. I'm 93,
Brilliant.
and my other sister is 89,
Right.
and my mother's 89 years dead.
Oh,
Yes, a
God,
long
yeah,
time,
So she was
yeah.
very young. She was
Very
just a
young,
baby when your
yes.
mum died.
Very
yeah.
young. They were butlers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were there many working in that Swift's furniture place, would you say? Or
There was a good
what did
few
they
working
do?
there, yeah. Now, I was left there that time now,
Yes.
you know, but I
yes.
do know, like, my sister now, my uncle got a bed made there for her, mahogany bed, and it's still going very well.
Oh, isn't that brilliant?
And that's a long time ago, yes, yeah. But
Yeah, and when you were young then, Pauline, and you lived in Shortcourse, would you go downtown much, or what would you do
oh,
down
yes,
there?
we'd go down to town. I was famous for going off town. I used to love going down. There used to be a fish market,
Right.
and I'd be watching them filleting the fish, you know, in the market, the Doherty's,
Yes, and
Do you
where
know-
was that?
down in Peter Street.
Right.
Yeah, down and all around that area, like the square, it was all very interesting, you know. There were all
Yes.
different things going on. My father was friends with a man named Drone from Polebury. He had a butcher shop at that went into High Street, the end. Like there was a big market there, you see. And then there was the Tries lived to have a shop there.
Yes.
You'd remember that,
I
Helen.
would, yeah.
And the dispensary then next to that, that was Peter Street and High Street. We'd always be around there. Oh,
Yeah.
we'd go downtown,
Yeah.
we would. And love to go to the pictures.
Pictures, yeah.
Always be trying to make up the coupons to get to the pictures.
Yeah.
That would be a great treat.
Yeah. And
to
how
go
would
to
you
the
make up that money now?
Pardon?
How would you make up that
Well,
money?
how
How
we used to make it up now was to collect jam jars, and there was a jewel man in one of the laneways off of Barrack Street, and he'd buy them off us. That's how we get to the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if we were something special happened, like, you know.
Yeah.
But we'd always try and get to the matinees, you know.
Right.
That
And why was that? Was it cheaper?
it was cheaper,
Yeah.
and we get to the cheapest seat in the Savoy,
Right.
in the old Savoy.
In the old
That's
Savoy.
just the
And
old-
where were the cheap seats in the old Savoy?
It was at the very back up on the top of it.
Right.
Yeah. And there's a man there who I worked with afterwards, Mr. Healy. And we often used to climb in over the barrier and get into the expensive part of it. You know?
Yes,
And
yeah.
I used to joke him, he said, if I had to catch you. But I said, you never did. So it was good, like, yes,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Very nice.
And you worked later would that have been in the new Savoy you worked?
I worked in the new Savoy, yeah.
And what was that like?
It was beautiful. And it was lovely to work there because it was entertaining. I loved the pictures, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And it was lovely seeing there used to be 2 different programs a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Excuse me. And Thursday, Friday and Saturday there'd be another program. And the pictures were lovely. And you'd know the first day I'd go in and I'd look at the picture and I'd know if it's going to be a good take on, like. And I'd say to him, he was the commissioner, Mr. Healy, I'd say, well, be ready now, we're going to have a busy week, a busy time. And sure we would.
Yeah.
Lots of pictures now. They advertise the pictures, you see, the trailers, what is coming on. And this particular picture was never advertised. And I went in to see it. And, oh, it was the best hit ever. Little Nellie Kelly.
Okay.
You might have ever heard it, did you?
Yeah, I heard
There's a
the
song
name
about
already.
it.
Yeah.
And it was about a family who had immigrated to Boston. And there was a couple of the Abbey players there. There was Arthur Shields and his brother. And they were in the picture. And one of them was on the horse going through New York on St. Patrick's Day.
Wow.
And it was a great film. And Judy Garland was in it. Yeah. Now the pictures, there was lots of groups in the pictures that would, couples like, that always came together. Greer Garson and Walter Pigeon, Nelson Eddy and Janet MacDonald.
Right. Do you remember the names of some
And-
of their pictures now?
Oh yes, there's summer time, Maytime, and there's that was one of Nelson Eddy's, and they were beautiful singers, like both of them. She was a lovely singer, Janet MacDonald, and so was Nelson Eddy, and then there was Merle, and she was with Powell was his name.
Oh, yes.
William Powell.
Yeah.
They were like seemed to be always making the films like with these different couples.
Mm-hmm.
Walter Pigeon and Greer Garson, they made some beautiful films together.
Mm-hmm.
And who else now? Oh, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers with the dancing.
Yeah. So the musicals were very popular, weren't
Very
they?
popular.
Yeah.
But it was lovely the people used to come in. They were so happy. It was their outlet. They just done nothing, only enjoyed that night. And that was all they had, like, maybe once or twice a week. And, then there's Jack Benny, he was a comedian, and he was so funny. You would not hear half the jokes. There'd be such laughter.
Laughing so much, yeah.
It was lovely.
Yeah, and you'd get good audience. That would be
The audience were lovely. The people were lovely. Got to know everybody.
Okay, yeah.
And you were kind of like a big happy family.
Oh, that was nice. Yes.
There was
yeah.
just.
Was there any problems ever? Did you ever catch anyone going from the cheap place into the
No,
dear
I
place?
didn't know. I was bold down myself. When we were young, we done it. But no, I didn't know. But I did find out we never had any difficulties.
Right.
They're very good, everybody. And they were very nice to everybody, like coming in, you get sweets off them and they'd be talking to you like it was like a big happy family.
Yeah.
You'd be looking forward to them.
Coming in.
Some, you'd know them all. The couples, of course, they keep in the back.
Really? And why was that?
Holding hands and whatnot. But, and the whole
Would you shine your torch on them then? Or?
I know, we wouldn't know.
Let
We
them
wouldn't
off.
embarrass them, no. There was lovely girls there. They were all very nice.
You told me once about Mrs. Mason. who used to
Mrs.
come- Do you
Mason
remember
from Barrack
that-
Street. She used to
that
come
story?
in.
Yeah.
And she was a lovely lady. And there was another lady came in and it was awful funny. This, in the pictures, this girl was telling the husband she was going to have a baby.
Yeah.
And he was all fussing about her. And now, when it was all over, the woman said to me, well, look at the state of her and the way she's carrying on. My fella never knew I had a child until he heard it. It was so funny, like. She said, we wouldn't bother, she said, about ourselves.
Yeah.
And it was quite true,
Yeah.
But they'd have a great old chat with you. And
Yes.
they'd comment on the film, like, you think they were living it, like.
I know.
And even as you did come out of it, like, you'd always feel on the air when you'd be young, like, that the singing and everything, there were such lovely musicals and that.
And do you have a favourite scene from any of the films you remember?
Oh,
Is there any
yes.
scene that stays in your mind?
Yeah. Well, I think Nelson Eddy was always very impressive and Janet MacDonald because they always had a lovely background and it was always pleasant.
Yes,
You know.
yeah.
He was very handsome. It's funny, there was a family of Fitzgeralds in Charcourse. They had a shop up at the top of it. And Aggie remember, he was married to Jerry O'Keefe. Remember, he had a grocery shop?
I do, yes.
And she said to me, "Oh, it is well for you, Pauline, you have the same birthday as Nelson Eddy." You know, she felt like she was in love with her.
I know.
They were so
and that
much
was a
in
big
love,
thing.
that's right. But they were great.
Yeah. Do you remember that scene in Maytime that you told me you liked on the
yes,
swing?
where all
Tell
the
me about
blossoms,
that. Yeah, what happened there?
Well, see, he was singing to her like, and she was on the seat and that, like, it was simple, I suppose, really. There'd be no violence or sex going on in the films long ago.
Yeah.
That's one thing. They were very clean, you know, and there was great laughter in the funny part of it.
And what about the stars? Who
the
are
stars
the
are very
most
good.
popular stars?
Clark Gable now was a very good star, you know.
Yeah.
You know, he had a good lot of parts. John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara.
Right.
They were a great team too. Lots of them, yes, they became part of our lives. You know, we enjoyed them.
Yeah. And you told me once about May O'Brien, who looked like a particular star. Do you remember that? What was that
a
story?
neighbour of mine. She's dead now at Lordchester, and she looked like Doris Day.
Right.
And when she used to come to the pictures, she used to get in free because she was like Doris Day.
Doris Day.
And she was very like her.
Or was she?
May, she was lovely. She was second next door neighbour of mine.
Right.
But sorry, they've all passed on all my neighbours.
Neighbours now.
I miss them all.
Yeah. And do you remember they used to talk about someone called the Queen?
The Queen.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
What was that about?
She was from Ferrybank. There was two sisters. One was in the restaurant. There was a lovely restaurant in the Savoy. And every Friday, not going away from the point, we'd always treat ourselves to our tea there with chips and fish every Friday. And we'd enjoy that. And our sister, anyway, Eileen was the Queen. She was in the front office in Broad Street. And Kat was in the restaurant. But they were from Ferrybank. And there was two other girl sisters from Ferrybank, the Kinsellas. Right. One was married to Andy Fleming. He was a great Waterford hurler. Right. And the other was married to a man named Brian Doyle from the Manor. They were very nice.
Yeah. And why did they call her the Queen?
She was very round, like, in a way. And her sister was the opposite, like.
Really?
They were like chalk and cheese, like. But Eileen was very grand.
Right.
And and so she was very aloof, like.
Right.
And people kind of. She went by the Queen anyway.
That's what they called her. And she worked in the ticket office.
She worked in the box office in the front.
The box office.
And a friend of mine, Molly Keogh, worked in the office. The other office. There was another office up at the side way there, from Broad Street.
Yeah. And I suppose they were going into the cheaper seats at the time.
That's right.
There,
But the seats were perfect. They were all the one seats actually. Only that the position of the cheap seat was only 4p. It was in the front, and the balcony, the back stalls then would be dearer, and then the balcony upstairs would be dearer again. You see, it'd be better view like from it.
Yeah.
And there was Mr. Devlin was our manager, and we'd have to parade every day before we go out on duty. It was very kind of strict.
About your uniform. And what was your uniform like?
I found a little photograph there. I must show it to you.
You must show us that.
It was just plain little kind of dress effect, little hat on us, and brands going down. Little braiding down the front, yes. Very simple, like, And they'd have our torch, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. It was a kind of a hard job to get into.
Yeah.
Because it was mostly lovely glamour girls. You know, I wouldn't say I was the glamour girl, but the other girls were lovely and tall. I was very small. So I got in with a lot of influence, you know, from the head man of the cinemas in Dublin, who was a great friend of my dad's, you see.
Ah, right.
And the job was to be mine when it came up. And I remember being interviewed by Mr. Devlin, and I do recall him saying, "She's not my choice, but I have no say in the matter."
Oh, no.
So I got the message very much. I was small, and I suppose I wasn't the glamorous one that should be, like, you know.
You're very glamorous now.
No, not at all, no. But I mean, the girls were lovely.
Yeah.
They were all lovely, tall
And
girls.
what was your working day like, would you say?
Our working day, we didn't start until about 2:30 in the day. And we finished at 10 in the night. We got a tea break. And you've got one day a week off. And we always went to another cinema.
See
Had
another
enough
film.
of our own. We went up to the Regina, up in the Regal in the Glen. And then we go down to the Coliseum just to get great returns. Like old films. They had to always, the Coliseum was an older picture house, but they had great old pictures, you know. There was some so good now, you really believe you could have such a laugh with them, you know.
I know. And do you remember any of those?
I do. I remember one particular one. We were waiting, and I was married at this stage now, and my mother-in-law lived with me, and my husband, we used to go off to the pictures one night a week. I used a lady come and babysit for me. And we went down to the Spy and we couldn't get in, there was a queue there and it was full up. So we went down to the Coliseum and there was one film, it was Sailor Beware.
Right.
And it was so funny you could not hear it, you know. There was a lady in the Peggy Mount and she was a huge big woman, but she was a real big bully. And her daughter married was going with the sailor, and he was terrified when the husband was frightening her. And when he'd come down the morning, when she showed up, the gelt would rattle on the dresser. she had such a strong voice. And I heard her speaking on the radio sometime years afterwards, and she was a very nice, cultured lady. You couldn't believe it was the same person who done the acting, yeah. She was lovely.
Very good.
Yeah.
And your sister was an usherette in the
My
Coll,
sister
wasn't she?
and two sisters were in the Coliseum.
Right.
Agnes was in the box office and Stacia was in the usherette. Yeah. But and they used to say to Agnes, why did you leave the Savoy? Because we were very
You
like.
looked alike. Yeah.
And why did you leave the Savoy
Yeah.
to come down here? You know.
And how would the Coliseum as a building now, as a place, differ from, say, the Savoy?
No, it wouldn't be to the standards like at the Savoy. It was very up to date. But the Coliseum would be old
Yes.
and
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It wouldn't be as good. Miss Kerr was the manageress of it. And she was quite a character. She was from Carrick.
Well, tell us about her. Yeah.
She was great. Now, I had a picture of her, I seen a picture of her there in one of Eddie Winberry's story of her sitting in the park. She was very nice. She was a nice person. But she used to go mad when they'd be rowdy there, you know. If anything got out of hand, she used to show her hand up, like. But she was nice.
And what would she do then? Would she shout at them?
Oh, she put them out if they weren't behaving themselves, you know, youngsters.
Yeah.
Then we'd have following ups, of course, when we were young. You'd have to go this week to follow it up beyond, to finish up like dramatic, and then the following week you start off again. So that's the way it went.
Yeah.
There were great
Would they throw things in the
entertainment.
cinema?
The variety like was great, you know. You wouldn't compare them because I often heard my sister saying, well, she worked with young girls afterwards when they look at the old pictures. Oh, we seen a lovely picture last night. And of course, to cry at the picture was a great one, to be a sad one. And everybody would like, you know, be so living the picture.
Yeah.
You know, you went to the pictures and you lived it out with a few hours of it there.
You were really part of it, yeah. Can you think of anyone that really made you cry? Any really sad one?
Oh yes, Rebecca. That was very sad, and a couple of them and a lot of Orson Welles pictures now. They were kind of cruel, I suppose, to a point, like the things, you know.
Yeah.
They were very Victorian, like, and what they had to put up with, like, and that, you see. That would make you kind of sad, you know.
Yeah. Do you ever remember a film called King's Row? With Ronald
Yes, I
Reagan?
do. Who's this? Was it Lana Turner was in it?
I don't know who the girl was.
I'm
With
quite sure now.
Ronald Reagan was the thing.
Yeah.
And he was going to marry the doctor's daughter. Do you remember that? No. And the doctor was very cruel. You don't remember that one?
I can't say I do now that well, no, I'll be honest now.
That was one, and they said he deliberately amputated his legs, you know, because he didn't want her to marry him. So a lot of people said to me that was a very sad one, you know, that was called King's Row. Yeah, and
oh yes, I think I remember.
What about going on a date to the cinema? What was that like? Would that be a big thing?
Pardon?
Going on a date to the cinema?
Oh, very much so, yeah. All the couples, of course, they come in there. And of course, you'd be bothered with boys looking for a date with you. Sometimes I would get in to see the film. One particular lad, now he's nice, but I wasn't interested in him.
Yeah.
And I wasn't interested in boys, really, believe it or not. I only went with the one boy.
I know.
Sean, my husband, Lord rest him. And, but, yeah, you would get plenty of boys if you want them. And date, would you?
Yeah, they would. And if you went on a date, like with your husband, say, to the cinema, what would it be like?
Oh, well,
what
they'd
would
be very...
They'd be dressed up and...
I'd only meet him once a week. That's my night off.
Yeah.
And we go to the pictures. Of course, we dress up for it, that's right. But no, it was different of lifestyle then. You see, we always behaved ourselves. You know, there was no familiarity to breed contempt. Yeah.
And would he buy you sweets or?
Oh
would
yes, you get sweets. Yeah, that's right. But it was funny. But we were free then, and we used to get free passes into the pictures.
Right.
I used to say my aunt used to bring her friends to in their turns. She had a couple of friends, and she'd bring her friend. I give her a pass for 2 people every week. And she used to get great kick out of that. She didn't have to pay, you know. And they could get a good seat. They could take any seat they like in the theatre with a free pass.
And would you get many free passes now?
Oh, just the one. Just the one. Two people every week. Like.
Per week, one a week, yeah.
And if you go to the cinemas, the other cinemas, you don't have to pay. You know, you wouldn't have to pay anything. You get in free.
And what about the cafe in the Savoy?
Oh, the cafe was lovely.
Popular?
It was very popular, very popular. Very nice. There was a lady, Miss Morgan, who was the manageress of it. And she ran it very well, but it was beautiful. Very good food. And people used to like to go to the cinema, go to the cafe and then go to the cinema. And it was nice, you see, for it. Oh, but there were really some nice days we had and enjoyed it. And I remember a family, there was a Cork house, they used to sell, it was at the corner of Peter Street, where that jeweller shop is there today now.
Right.
Opposite Dunn's.
Yes.
In Broad Street. And that man used to have his lunch sent up tea and scones. He was the owner of it. I think it was Grant was his name. And he used to have his tea sent in while he'd be at the pictures.
Really? In the
scones,
afternoon? His tea would be sent in and they'd bring it in to...
He was very comfortable,
unusual.
you know.
There
was lots of people like that now. They'd be kind of important, but to go to the matinee and that, you see.
Yeah, and they'd have their tea sent up. And what about, you know, people used to walk around the quay and the cross and that, did they?
No, we didn't. That was in the very olden times. They used to have a tree. The usherettes to have a tree, but that wasn't in my time.
Right.
Now, I'm left 70 years the cinema, but that wasn't in that new cinema, like the new Savoy.
They didn't have that.
No, I don't ever remember that now.
Yes,
it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was in the silent pictures.
Right.
In those days,
yeah. And what about the people going for walks? You know, if they were in the evening, maybe, would they...
Oh, yes.
If they didn't go to the cinema, would they just Go for a
We'd
walk.
go for walks, and yes,
And where would they go?
oh, you'd walk for miles. That's just it, you'd walk for miles around everywhere.
Yeah.
I would think nothing of walking around down. There's no houses on in Lisdogan at that time.
Mm-hmm.
There was just two farmhouses, small farmhouses, one at the top and one at the bottom.
Right.
And we would walk around there. And then I remember when I'd get my tea break, I used to get up on my bicycle and go down there for a spin and get a bit of fresh air on my bike and come back in. And I'd be back in a few, it was all the hill down, down Paddy Brown's Road.
Very good.
There wasn't one house there, but it was just lovely to go out in the fresh air. And we used to go, before we go to work in the morning, I used to cycle to Carrick-on-Shore. And we just barely get back across the bridge in time to get into our uniforms.
And get to work.
And go on duty. We always made it, and down to New Ross.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Just for the spin?
Just in the morning, just for the spin, yeah.
And just go straight and come back?
That's right, yeah. I was a great walker. I used to walk around the 6 crossroads. That's been now out around Butlerstown direction, and come out on the Tramore Road. And I used to walk from Dunmore when I lived there first.
God, that's why you're so healthy and well looking.
During the war years.
Yeah.
And there was no transport, no petrol, and everything was kind of, you had to walk. That's why I'm such a good walker today.
And what was it like during the war years? Do you remember anything specific?
It was hard. We had the rationing, and of course, I'd say we used to buy black market tea.
Did you?
I used to often pay, I love strong tea, and I'd often pay maybe $1.50, which was a lot of money for a package of tea at that time in the war years. This is in the 40s now, just early 40. And the butter was rationed. But I used to manage to get one of the clients at the cinema used to give me a little bit of butter.
Very good.
I was very lucky.
What about the tea? How did you manage
the tea?
to get
I got
that?
the tea. We'd have to walk. There was a few people, the shops, one particular shop, I won't mention it now, and we used to walk up and down there, and then we get the nod and we'd go in and get it. And we'd pay that price for it, which was a terrible price, but it was worth it.
Yeah. And what about clothing and that? Was
clothing, yes, very hard. I remember when I getting married, it was hard. I found it hard. I hadn't enough coupons to get my regard. It was only just a dress, and very simple dress, like, which I got good wear out after.
What colour was it?
No, it was blue.
Blue, lovely.
And I was lucky enough that a friend who had a headdress, I have a photograph of it there, and she gave me a loan of the headdress.
Great.
It was just blue.
Yeah.
And I got it. My sister-in-law was lucky. She was like working in Boyce's. That was a big draper shop. And Kelly, she got it in Kelly's for me. She knew the staff, and they cut down the coupons, for her. So that was why I got it, But it wasn't extravagant like that when we had our wedding in it used to be a restaurant. It wasn't a restaurant, it was where the chemist shop is now in Broad Street. Mackay's. Right. They were a big family, Mackay's. They owned it all where out Lisdogan. They owned all that land around that way, that part of the country. And they came in, they were very juvie ladies, but they came in, very poorly dressed. You wouldn't think they had anything, but they were very nice people and very wealthy people. But they ran a lovely restaurant, and they had a beautiful, used to give beautiful confectionery and beautiful meals.
Lovely.
So I had my wedding there.
Yeah. And where exactly was that now? Is that?
It was opposite the Savoy.
Savoy, yeah. Where Garrigan's was.
Where the chemist shop is there.
There now, yeah. Very good.
Yeah. And my sisters, some of them had their weddings there too. It was a breakfast then because everybody was going away early. We had no transport, the train.
Yes.
And
I suppose the mass was early in the morning then, wasn't it?
Well, most of them were so early, it was unbelievable. It was dark. I don't know how they wait. But no, I was lucky. I didn't get married until 10 o'clock.
Oh,
That was very late.
That was late, yeah.
And grand in Ballybricken,
Yeah, because my mother got married at 8 o'clock, I remember.
That's right.
But,
my
she
sisters
told
all
me
got married, and it was really dark when we were going up to it. Like,
yes, yeah. And where did you meet your husband?
I met him through my friend in the cinema. He was friends with her brother, and she arranged
She
herself.
introduced you?
Yeah,
Lovely.
that's all.
Yeah.
And I wasn't too keen, I suppose. It took a long time. Yeah, but as everyone, he's a very nice man, and I was very lucky.
And you had
and
a lovely
fortunate
marriage.
getting him. Yeah, lovely.
Lovely.
And that.
Yeah.
But she worked in the office, you see, and he was friends with her brother, and he had asked her. Everything was done very proper. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And at one stage there was no films on a Sunday, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
No, there was no films on Sunday. That only came out in the latter few years I've been there. Yeah. Actually, I was only there about 6 years, in the cinema.
Right.
When I got married, yeah. But there was no films on Sundays. It was kept very strict.
Yeah.
And we used to go down Saturday nights in the cross. We walk up and down the cross. Everybody do it.
Yeah.
Well, I used to do it when I was very young with my aunt and her friends.
Right.
I'd hang on to them and be walking up and down all night. The shops would be open.
Really?
The draper shop. They used to call them the midnight drapers. One shop there, Welsh's. And crowds of people, they done nothing else. They just walk up and down. Like, I've been to Barcelona now, and they do that in the Rambles. And I just love it. I sit there for hours when I've been to Barcelona a few times, and I just love to sit at the Rambles there with a cup of tea or coffee and see the people all go up and down.
And that was like what you did on a Saturday.
That's what we used to
night,
do long ago in the Savoy,
Yeah.
and we all enjoyed it. Everybody was happy, and I think a lot of people met their partners there, like
on the walk.
on the walks up and down.
yeah.
A lot of them met like that. Yes.
Yeah. And when the Sunday films came in then, did people go or were they reluctant?
They were at the beginning, yes.
Yeah.
They're kind of the way, like, I suppose it took a while to take off, but it did take off, though, eventually,
Yes, yeah.
And it was kind of only right, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just Sunday night, then, they used to go out Newtown walking.
Really?
That was the route they used to take Sunday night. And Saturday nights was the Broad Street.
Yeah. And would there be lots of people? Would it be like the Ramblers?
When I say lots, it'd be quite hundreds up and down. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The same in Barcelona, you see them. They're just throngs of people passing by all the time,
So it was very continental.
Have you ever been to Barcelona?
I have.
It's lovely.
Yes, I know,
It's one of my
beautiful, the
favourite
Ramblers,
places. I like it. Yeah, I like it. It's
really
great a
is
lot to
lovely.
see there.
Yeah, you want to hold on to your bag there, though I was robbed there.
Well, yeah, funny thing is, I always very careful about it. They wouldn't get it where I had it. But anyway, no.
And where was the Midnight Drapers? Where was that?
That was now Welsh and Feelings was the name
yes,
of it.
I remember that.
Big shop there.
And they'd open late.
They'd be all open late, All the shops more or less had open late. There was no restriction on the time, limit there.
And was that on a Saturday or every night?
Saturday nights,
They'd open
and that,
late. Very good.
Everybody had a good time.
They enjoyed it.
They were all happy.
Yeah.
We had so little, we enjoyed everything.
Yes.
Which we got. And that,
Yeah. And your dad was in the union, wasn't that right?
He was the secretary. He was very involved in the labour movement.
Right.
And actually, he was a friend of Big Jim Larkins.
Right.
I was looking at the lockout one night, and I was just saying that I see my father sitting down. There was 6 of them. This was after the lockout, and things settled down, and the Irish Transport Union came being. And my father, he was sitting in the front. I couldn't believe it. I was seeing him,
Oh, that was lovely. Yeah.
But there was an article then in the Sunday Times, and that picture was on it.
Right.
Yeah, a big Jim Larkin.
11.
And there was 6 other men with him from different branches, like. And they kind of formed a union then, and that. He was kept busy.
Kept busy. And do you
He had
remember
his
any union
office.
stories?
Pardon?
Do you remember any stories of that time when, he was setting up the union
it was
and that?
terrible. You see, people were treated badly, and they did not get like their rights, and they could be let go, whereas the union was their protection. And we all joined the union, like. It was only 4p a week, like, out of our wages.
Yeah.
Which, like, wasn't much, really. But it gave us a guarantee, like, that the management couldn't do what they liked with us. You see, you had that privilege, like.
Yeah.
It was great
Yeah.
that the union step in.
Yeah.
And they would, if anything went wrong, like, you had the guarantee of the union.
Yeah.
So we never had any trouble otherwise,
Yes, yeah.
But my poor father used to be on a date with callers during his meal hours and everything, with all the troubles, like,
Yeah, yeah. And do you remember any other shops or businesses downtown that was important for people then, or that
the
people liked to
London
go to?
Newcastle was a very important shop. Yeah, you'd leave in your order there, and it was always packed, and they deliver it. And then Granny, my mother-in-law, liked Chapman's on the Quay.
Right, yes.
That was very exclusive, and they were very nice. They were a bit more expensive, Chapman's. Now, the London Newcastle, I'd say, was very popular. Then there was the Home and Colonial, that was another one. And Woolworths, of course, was there.
Yeah.
And then there
What
was
do you remember about Woolworths? What?
I do. I remember everything was only... nothing was more dear than 6 pennies.
Right.
Everything was cheap, like. But very nice shop and very good. It was a big loss, like, and they employed a lot of people there in Woolworths. A lot of girls now worked in Woolworths. And then there was Phelan's, the Marble Hall. They were next to Woolworths. It was a butcher's shop, and it was open. You see the beasts hanging up outside, like.
Right.
And that.
And they called it the Marble Hall.
The Marble Hall, yes.
Why was that?
To be I don't know really the reason now, but they've employed a lot of people. It was a very big butcher shop. And Dr. White, he was a famous man, Dr. White.
Tell us about him.
He was a real gentleman. He never married. He was opposite the Savoy.
Right.
And the corner of is that Arunder's lane there that goes over?
Yes.
Where?
Yeah.
Over to the city square.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was used to come out of St. Patrick's Day, and he'd have shamrock down the whole body. He was a councillor. My father was a councillor in the corporation, and for years. He was a very
And Dr. White was he an actual doctor?
Oh, he was a very nice doctor.
Yeah.
Very nice man, very gentlemanly. And that, but he never married. He had a sister lived with him.
Yeah.
And there was Phelan's then next door. They used to, Susie Phelan, she used to bake tarts.
Right.
Do you remember her?
I do remember those, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
and Mr. Hughes then, he lived up where John's is now, up coming into Broad Street there.
Right.
But if you'd done a training with him, you were trained for anything. He was very cross. But any of the girls who trained there, they tell you they'd be fitted to work anywhere after him. But he
What
was a
kind
nice
of shop
man.
was that?
That was a grocery shop too, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, a lot of them.
And then there was who was my friend now, they had a pub there in Peter Street. Yeah, Peter Street was very interesting because there was a lot of, there was Franklin's, and then there was McAvoy's. They had a pub. She was a friend of mine, Stacia. You wouldn't have remembered the McAvoy's, no.
I don't remember that.
And where John's is today now.
Right.
And their mother had to run that because her husband died very young. And she was left with a big family. You see, they were all big families.
Yeah.
The people, most of the people now were left widows, had to take in washing and earning to rear their children, you know. It was hard. Then Dad had a friend then, he had another shop, Mr. Dawson. And when you get the old stock, couldn't get rid of the stock, my father would go down and he'd get bargains. He was with him in the corporations, the councillor.
Right.
And another man was Mr. Elwood on the quay. He had a big shop on the quay.
Right.
His daughter Betty's McGinn is living over in South Parade.
Oh.
That was a big draper shop, and he'd get all the bargains if you go on the stock wouldn't be going like, and we'd have to wear it. We were told to wear it, and we wore it.
Yeah, and it was good value.
That's right, good value. Yes.
Yeah. And what was Franklin's? What was that?
Franklin's, he was a shoemaker.
Shoemaker.
Yeah, he opened up in John Street afterwards. His daughter went to school with me, and then there was a big shop then in Peter Street, Flings. They had another district, said everything, you know. Most of the shops, everything was sold in them.
Yeah.
You know, there'd be paraphernalia and there'd be food and everything. But, you know, there'd be no restrictions on things like.
Yes, yeah.
And everybody'd be selling it. But there were great activity, like, in everybody. Everybody worked hard.
Yes, yeah.
And enjoyed life.
I remember as a child there used to be the Cockle women. We used to call them the Cockle women. Yeah.
Well, they used to be down at Dr. White's. They used to come.
I remember
and go down there. But they used to come up to Sharkos and they used to sell kind of a seaweed, slowcorn.
Right.
I loved it.
Did you?
It was the most ugliest thing to look at. I got a present of a few jars of it there a few years ago. And you'd have to hide it because no one wants to eat it. But if you liked it, it was like, oh, the nicest thing you could eat.
Beautiful and very good for you.
It was, a seaweed was boiled for hours and hours. Well, the cockles then would be washed and cleaned. But then we used to go up to Woodstown and we used to pick them ourselves. And we'd have a good feed of them. I loved them.
I love the cockles.
Yeah, but I don't know, I haven't tasted them now for years.
In a while, they're hard to get now.
But they're not the same. And the slowcorn was great. And winkles. We used to go for the winkles. Because all my lads used to pick them. And they come back from Tramore and I'd boil them. They'd be alive like, and I'd boil them. And they'd sit around and they'd be talking, picking out the winkles like a little worm. It was still lovely. Beautiful. I love seafood. All the seafood was lovely. It was great. There was great flavour off of everything. And then the often meat.
Oh, yes. What was
the butchers, I'd say, you see, most of them, they were all very comfortable people that sold offal. Pretty well did. And there was a family Welch's in Barrack Street sold it. And you get your dinner for 2p. But you get so much meat. I'd say they used to be asked, get it for nothing, to take it away from the factories. There was Denny's and there was Clover Meats, you see. There was 2 big factories in Waterford at the time. And they were so tasty, like. There was an Englishman who was married to a cousin of mine and they used to come home every year. And he used to say to me, will you have that dinner for me today again? And in the 30s now, the weather was very warm, hot. The summers were summers. You were guaranteed every day was good. So I say, oh my goodness. And I'd have to do that dinner. It would cost 2p. A whole backbone.
Right, a backbone, yeah.
And I'd make a nice stew of it. Now it wouldn't be sloppy, it'd be kind of syrupy at the end. And the lovely vegetables, you know, and everything. My father had a plot of ground and he used to grow his own vegetables. He sent from his friend, Mr. Dunn.
And where was that?
John, do you know where Hennessy's Road is, where Rice Park is now?
Yes, yeah.
It was down there,
they had a plot.
At that time, on Hennessy's Road. And they had the ploughs and they'd all share, like, the men. They kind of do that, kind of be some kind of exercise for them, I suppose, really,
And they had the backbones, the offal meat. What other?
They had the skirts and kidneys.
Skirt and kidney, yeah.
You know that?
I do.
Yeah. And the chucks. And the lion bones. You can't easily done away with a lot of things. Like the tripe, one particular part of the tripe was called the reed. It was black.
Right.
And I wouldn't boil it, I'd grill it with butter. It was simply delicious. They took that away. All the good things they took away from us. And it didn't kill any of us.
I know,
you know,
I know.
it was all. They say the pig is a very clean animal. It's a very, very wholesome animal, you know, the pig. Every bit of them is used. My mother, the Lord rest her, they used to make black and white puddings.
Right.
From when a sheep would be killed, a pig would be killed, they'd use every part of it. And the head and the tail and everything. Every bit of it, he'd use the pig.
Yeah.
And they were very tasty dinners.
Yeah.
They're very tasty.
And you don't eat pork, why is that?
Well, I can't eat it now because I had gallstones a few years ago, and it's a bit heavy on the system.
Yeah.
Now, I would have it in the winter, I wouldn't have it in the summer.
Yeah,
but I'd have loads of apple sauce,
lovely.
you know, to rectify it.
To put with it.
But it was very tasty.
Yeah.
But beautiful now, and they're all very comfortable people, because my uncle used to tell me this story. Bridgie Welton in the Mayor's Walk, you might have remembered her.
Yes.
And at the Ursuline used to have to be an expensive school then, and you had to pay to go. And Bridgie was sent out there, and apparently she went to learn music. The uncle told me this now, but whether there was truth in it or not, I don't know. And he said, they sent in to tell him that Bridgie hadn't talent, you see. And her mother said, whatever it costs, we'll pay for it. You see, they thought they could buy the talent, but she hadn't, you know. They were all nice. And then there was two sisters in the Mayor's Walk used to do the pig's toes, the Foleys.
Right.
And they were so clean. And Uptons used to do it in the Coliseum. When they come out of the Coliseum,
I remember
and
that.
they'd be all hungry and they'd go in and get a few pig's toes. My father used to do it.
Really?
He used to bring in a few pals after a few drinks, and they'd come in and they'd be all having their pig's toes. Dick Widger.
Yeah.
Do you know that under the Widgers?
Oh,
He's
yes.
the father of the Widgers,
Yeah.
and a few of them. But the men were simple, you know, they just maybe have a pint. Well, my father went to a pub. There was never a man came out of a drunk. They got 2 pints, was the limit. And that was run by 2 sisters at the end of the street in Barrack Street.
Yeah.
The name of Barry's.
Barry's.
And it was a beautiful pub. And they were never known a man to come out more than after being served 2 drinks.
And that was
so
it.
one night there was one of the pals came in, John Pounds was his name. And John, some of the fellas said, we'll put a fast one on John tonight. And he put out his foot, and John fell over. So she said, I'm sorry, John, she said. You can sit down and join the lads, but you're getting no drink.
She thought
and he got no drink. And he was giving out to them all. But he didn't like the old pub over in O'Connell Street, Mars.
Oh, yes.
You have strict rules, and they never broke the rules.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember my father was sick one time, and I went down to Barry's for whiskey for him. And she said, is he really sick? And I said, he's very sick. So that's how I got the little drop of whiskey for him.
Yeah. You had to be sick,
You know, she wouldn't give it to me otherwise.
She
said, you sure he's sick? And I said, he's very sick. He had to pleural say at the time, and he was sick, So we have
lovely memories.
Lovely
memories. Just before we finish up, Pauline, what about, you're a very stylish lady. Very stylish.
Oh, I'm very thrifty, fine.
And when you were young, you know, did you still like the fashion, and where did you get your ideas from?
I had very little choice from it, but I'd always remember, one of the neighbours, she was a beautiful knitter, and she used to make me lovely jumpers.
Right.
She was one of the Larkins. They were very close, all the neighbours were all very close. And she was a beautiful knitter, and she just treat me to this jumper every year.
Lovely.
And to be a favourite.
Yeah.
And no, I hadn't. When we were young, we hadn't. My aunt was a dressmaker, and she used to look for bargains. Right. She'd go down to Robson Edley's on the quay.
Right.
And she'd buy all the bargains for Saturday morning, remnants, and she was good to us all.
She'd buy material and
yes, and make it. And she used to sew, and I used to do the help with the sewing. I do the buttonholes and that for her. Like she used to make him cheap everything.
Yeah.
You know, she wouldn't charge anything. People hadn't the money.
I know.
And she wouldn't charge.
Yeah.
So she was a good person, and her brother was the same. You know, they were lovely.
Yeah. And do you remember any fashions that came from the films? Did people get ideas from the films for the kind of fashion?
They would, yes.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, of course, the dresses. The films wouldn't have any notion of getting it.
Yeah.
No, it's not, no, you'd be nicely dressed, but priority always got the table.
Right.
My father feeding us well, like, and that.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember he'd bring in all kinds of food, and I'd have to go in to ask Mrs. Ryan next door, how would I cook it? As a matter of fact, I've done cooking today now, an ox tongue.
Oh, right, very good.
And I really love it. Now I have to put in an order for it. It's so hard to get. They're being shipped to Germany. And they can't be. So I went into Kylie's this morning. I said, would you have an ox tongue? He said, I just have one in the pickle. And he took it out.
For you.
So I have that on now, and I'm going to tell you it is the most delicious of all the meats.
You're going to enjoy that now for your dinner.
I'd press it and I'd push it into a bowl, and I'd put the weights on it, and come out like a little pudding.
Right, lovely.
And it's absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
It's the nicest corned beef you could eat, like.
Yeah.
It used to be £1 in the old money, and they're now €9.
€9.
And an oxtail, another one I loved.
Yeah.
And that used to be 50 pence. 50 pence.
Yeah.
And it is now 9 or 8 to buy euros.
Yeah. It's all going
It's
up.
all I can see such a I say to her, you know, I used to buy that from euro, £1. The times have changed.
Yeah.
But Germany take them all, you see. They get, they take out all they export them.
Yes,
And
they're
they're really a delicacy.
Yeah.
I don't know, can you smell it now, can you?
Can I ask you there before we finish up, whereabouts was Sheep Lane? You mentioned that earlier.
Sheep's Lane.
Sheep's Lane. Whereabouts was
Oh,
that?
Sheep's Head. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, Sheep's Lane.
Sheep's Lane. Where was Sheep's Lane?
Sheep's Lane. Yeah. No.
Was it off Shark
Oh, that's up off of Sharkers.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's Buttermilk Lane. The woman just said Buttermilk Lane. And the other one, the sheep used to go up Sheep's Lane. It's up off of Sharkers. They have built houses now where they used to do the slaughtering. Yeah. And we never had any sickness as such, like, you know. We had a great immunity, like, to everything.
Yeah.
Because we were, you know, used to it.
Yeah.
And
your food
it was
was
all
healthy,
dirty,
really.
their work, but it was clean, like, when it was done. And anybody in Waterford to talk today, as I said, the tribe that remember Sharkers.
Of course, and
They'd
Sheep's
be
Lane.
queuing for
What
it.
was the name of that abattoir? Do you remember that? It was the Larkins,
No,
wasn't
it wasn't Larkins, it was Malloy's had it.
Malloy's, all right.
They were butchers, you see.
Yeah.
The Malloy brothers. He had a shop down in, there was two of them, had one shop at the corner of New Street, before you go up New Street, and the other was where the bar, not far from the bar, next to the bar. There was another Malloy there. And then there was another one up further in the street, in Michael Street. They were a big family.
There was a lot of
Yeah,
butcher
they came from Ballybricken, you see. But they were our butchers. Yeah.
And before we finish, any story you'd like to tell us, Pauline, that stays in your mind from when you were growing up in Waterford, or any funny story, or a story you always think of? You've told us loads of them now, but if there are any others?
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Let's see. Well, I can tell you now, the morning I got married.
Right, can you tell us about that?
I got the choice from my father, Dad, to say, would you like the money or the wedding reception? So I said, I'll take the wedding reception, and I brought all the old neighbours.
Lovely.
To it. It wasn't big now, about a little over 30.
Right.
Went down to the country tea rooms.
Yeah.
And the £0.50, I gave it to somebody. I think to my sister. I gave it to my bridesmaid, and I had a new handbag, and I had 1 penny.
Yeah.
And I used to say to Sean, my husband, I knew you married me for the money. Because I had no money. So that was it. But I worked out fine.
Yeah,
thank God.
Lovely. And do you remember what you had for the wedding breakfast?
I do, yeah. Oh, we had a fry, like,
yeah,
of everything, you know, rashers and
lovely. Yeah,
a kind of a breakfast, like what they call it. A brunch, is it in America?
Yes, yeah.
And everything. And you had your cake, your wedding cake, yeah.
And did someone make that for you?
Yes, there was a lady made it. It was a beautiful cake. It was during the war years, but we managed to get the fruit and stuff. Yeah. She lived down in the Adelphi Quay, you know, where the boats used to come in.
In there, yeah.
And it was the most beautiful cake. Lovely. It was so, I couldn't believe it.
Did she ice it and decorate for you?
She iced it and everything, yes.
Lovely. And that was in McCoy's restaurant, you said?
McCoy's, yeah, the country tea rooms. But then they
what was
had...
it called, the country tea rooms?
The country tea rooms, yeah.
Lovely.
They used to make beautiful coffee cakes there. Right. And beautiful confectionery. And we had their confectionery too, you see, after it.
Yeah.
And we'd have our own music and everything there, you know.
Music?
But it wouldn't be on the scale as everything is today.
I know. And who played for your wedding then? Had you a musician?
No, I don't remember now. Yeah. My sister now, I remember. She had Ballybricken.
Really?
Yeah, because they were kind of related to the in-laws, you know. Right. And I remember Val Judican in short pants and he playing at her wedding.
Yeah.
No, I think we had a record playing. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't any orchestra booked. No.
And did you go off then on a honeymoon?
We went off on the train.
Yeah.
And we always had a few couples going on the train.
On honeymoon.
That's for sure, yeah. The train, I think it was 1:30 in the daytime. And it was the first time I was in Dublin.
Go away, you went to Dublin for your honeymoon.
First time I was in Dublin, yes.
Well, that was all very exciting.
It was all big to me, the big smoke. But it was lovely. I had a nice time there.
Good.
John has people, he came from Dublin, a lot of them.
Right.
And they were there. His aunt had her hotel there, and I stayed with her when I went to Dublin. And the other aunt had another hotel nearby. But they had me out to, meals and that. It was lovely.
And what did your sister wear as your bridesmaid now? Did she wear
She wore a dress, pink.
Pink.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And who made the dresses? I wore a dress going away. There was Rails in Barrack Street at a shop.
What were they called?
She was Rails at a shop at the corner of Bunker Hill. And she was a dressmaker. And she made a dress for me and a coat going away. Oh, everything was simple.
Changed to go away.
Yes, that's
lovely,
right. Yeah.
Lovely, yeah.
It was a kind of red dress. But it was
that's lovely.
Happy memories.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Yeah.
I was very happy.
Yeah. And thanks so much for sharing them with us now.
Not at all, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a nice home in Dunmore. I did first before I came in here.
You lived in Dunmore?
Yeah. Lovely house in Dunmore, but it was a farm too with it.
Right.
We stayed just a few years there.
And then you came in here. So how long have you been in this house?
Oh, so I've been in, that's about 67 years.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, just 3 years in Dunmore. I felt it lonely.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I found because you cut off very much. It was a very quiet place. And Dunmore was very reserved at that time. There weren't very friendly people there.
I know.
And
when you be used to living in the city, it's hard.
I was used to people,
yeah.
But my husband cycled in and out every day.
Gosh,
That's no transport, you see.
Yeah.
And I walked in myself a few times.
God.
Pram and child.
Yeah. Great
dog.
woman.
Yeah.
That's why you're so healthy looking and beautiful.
Right. And I'm walking now. I do about 5 miles a day.
5 miles, do you?
I would. I'm fishing about 5 miles a day.
Brilliant.
I go around the park